Say that again, Elena. There were
Oh,
missile
yes.
strikes
Okay.
2 miles away from you.
Yeah, because it was like early morning. I think it was 2 days ago, like 7 a.m., 6, 7 a.m. It started. And usually it's like, usually it's like drones. But if it's like ballistic missiles, they're much more faster and you have only 2, 3 minutes to get to the shelter. So if you just alarm ballistic missiles on the way, you just
How do you tell the difference?
difference damage is difference first of all
I
because
know,
it's
but when there's an alarm, is how do you know if it's the ballistic or it's the
we
other one?
have all chats in
Okay.
WhatsApp, in Telegram, so everywhere you can read what is going on. So channels already share the news, and you subscribe to it, and you know from where, how many, how long, how
Yes.
many minutes you have if you want. If you don't, because we usually with my husband sleep, and depends on is it super close? Maybe it's only me because my husband said I'm sleeping, and I'm like, go, go, go. I can
He's
go to.
sleeping through a ballistic missile
he,
attack.
he didn't hear it even.
Oh my
I
God.
can hear it, and if I heard like it's like starting the system, like oh my god, I should not prepare some vocabulary to explain the anti missiles
Anti-air
system.
defense
Yeah,
systems. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
air defense system. That's why we asking this from the beginning 2 years ago. Please give us this system because we don't have our own. It's only other countries' own, like France, Germany, Denmark. Thanks God they gave us a lot of them. So when you start heard this the special sound, because okay, they started to catch the missiles from the enemy on the air, and if sometimes they miss them, and if it's a real ballistic missile just come, disaster is huge. It's like huge one, like building can be destroyed total 100%, like. But if they catch them in the air, still some parts, very
Shrapnel,
hot
the metal
parts,
falls. Yeah.
metal falls, and it could be like a lot of area with fire, and you never know where it's can get. And this time it was in the city center in 4 districts, different, like it could be even small part, but it's still a big fire. And yeah, so when I can hear is it a little bit close to me, and I feel and the windows shaking, I think oh yeah, it's super close. And moreover, if it's cars became like wee, 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 it means that the wave so close that even cars can feel and thinking about like oh we okay, okay. When I go to my building channel, they're all who lives there thinking okay, should we go to the shelter? Who goes to the shelter? Oh no, we are going to the bathroom. Okay, let's go to the bathroom. Why bathroom or any other places is you have 2 walls.
Yeah.
Theoretically 2 walls should protect you from all sides.
Mm.
So because one wall catch the first wave or some parts of the missiles, and the second wall theoretically could protect you. But if it directly rockets on your house, no chance.
Incinerated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is it. This is how I spend my week. In
And
a
you're
nutshell,
smiling. You keep such a great attitude through all of
I
it.
am alive. I have a reason to smile.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm depressed now. I was like excited to talk about this, and I'm like really depressed. It's like, holy moly. Wow.
Mm, at the
Wow.
beginning, 2 years ago, it was like another mood. We was in shock. We
Yeah.
don't know what to do, how to behave, and like years, days, you can handle how to. I can do this. I can do that. For instance, my friends with children, they always don't ignore the any alarm. They every time go to the
I was
shelter.
just
So I
thinking
can
about
understand.
that. If
Yeah,
if
because
I had kids there, I would be scared out of my mind. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a responsibility for another person. So it's your choice. Stay here and just 50-50% survive
Yeah.
or not. But if you have a responsibility, if you have children or 2 or 3, definitely you should go to the some bomb shelter, or as many women did, and go to abroad.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so yes. Any other
Merry
questions?
Christmas. My God.
Yeah,
Like,
let's hope they de-escalate now with
yeah.
Trump coming in. You know, you said you want to talk about Trump. There's your segue.
Oh yeah, no,
Trump.
Trump, it's because he is like a businessman, I believe that he will do what is has some benefits for him. And if for him any war, especially in the center of the Europe, is not any good output for Trump, he can stop it. I think he has something in his pocket to say, "Hey, Putin, stop because I have this, this, and that, or I can do this, this, and that." So that's why he said, "Oh, I can stop any war in 3 days." Maybe during his life, she
Yeah,
collects some.
the wars were a big reason that Biden, well, I should say Harris lost the election. I think that people were
Mhm.
really fed up with the mismanagement around the Ukraine Russia war and then the Israel versus the
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
countries' war. Now it's expanded to Syria. It was Gaza first. Uh, People around the world are fed up with the kind of weak leadership that Biden was having internationally. Plus, the economy was sinking under his watch, and it just, you saw his
Mhm.
mental state. He wasn't the one in charge; someone else was in charge. When he could barely give a speech by the end, right? They had to
No, I
kind
know.
of
He's still president, by
pull
the
him
way.
off the seat. Yes, I know he's still
He's still
president.
president. Wow.
Technically, I think it's like till end of
Technically,
January.
that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
point, is that that's been the last at least 2 years since the crisis started. He's been technically the president.
Okay.
Someone else that is in the administration is running the show in the cabinet,
Here's a
right?
thought exercise, okay? You got 30 days for him to go. If you were president for 30 days, I just want you to think about this. You're the most powerful human being in the history of humankind, the most powerful economically, politically, militarily. You guys are now, for 30 days, you're president. You're sitting on that throne. What would you do?
Forgive the student loans, stop the war, stop the drones, stop the sticks and stones.
Yeah, but imagine that. You're the most powerful human being in the more powerful than a pharaoh, kings of England. You are the most powerful. Yeah. So we're saying he's got 30 days. Yeah, imagine you got 30 days to be the most powerful human being. I wouldn't be sleeping on a beach. Or maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's
Is that
weird.
what he's doing?
Oh, he's out cold, man. He's like I don't know. He's Metamuciling. I don't know what he's doing. He's just not.
I know what he's doing, but especially because I follow the news and I see what is for Ukraine. I think next week or something before Christmas, we should get the final package of help, and Biden should sign it.
That's he's gonna
And
do here.
if the president signed, it means Trump couldn't revert it, so it should be done. Maybe Congress can do, but I think it's like a final. But anyway, if you have 30 days, you can do something. But in 30 days, a new president will come and say, change, stop, do it. And my Congress, my people in parliament everywhere. So I cancel all your decisions.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
he could do crazy things. He
Yeah,
could cancel student debt. You can't, it's hard to undo some things. If he could, he can pardon certain people.
which
He
he's doing.
could,
Yeah.
which he's doing, and some of them are controversial, I saw.
Mhm.
Um, you know, he could legalize certain drugs. He could
For 1 month.
amnesty, right? For 1 month, yeah, I guess, and it would change. you
Mhm.
know,
But still,
um,
30 days, 24 hours a day, you could be just doing whatever. I mean, it's powerful, right? Um,
But I think it doesn't work this way. Should some congressman or someone else also approve the decision?
I think he can do executive orders. So he can just like sign a piece of paper. And I mean, I know that America is built on those three different pillars,
Yeah, I
legislative,
think, yeah.
executive.
Mhm.
So
the news about it is U.S. Congress sends spending deal to Biden on brink of deadline. So instead of doing something transformational like as Var's talking about, what they're really arguing about is the government budget. The fiscal cliff the other side threatens at the end of every year. They're just arguing about spending bills and having it signed. So basically bureaucratic, in a
and they
sense.
signed the bill for one simple reason. It's
Yeah.
Christmas and they want to go home.
Yeah.
That's why they
Selfish.
signed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they pared it down a bit. It's just like the couple of days before Christmas. They all signed and everybody's gone. go home,
Yeah.
vacation,
Yeah.
whatever. So I mean, not transformational, but anyway, what are you gonna do?
I think uh, each person who is like in general good person should think about like, okay, what can I do that can be something like that I'm a good. It's like really like excuse someone or give some charity or support children and their to do something like definitely mm, should do but don't have time while you like a president during the so not popular decision what didn't give you any benefits for the next election
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
I don't care elected me or
Exactly.
not it's the last 30 days I
That's my
can
point.
do a non-popular decision
Yeah.
but which decision like sign me to the history so like okay he did this good thing he
I'm gonna
uh,
quote Yosef. Let's put it in the chat. Let's get the comments. Let's see what the fans are saying. How many fans do we have?
Slide in our DMs in the comments in there.
DMs.
Come on, let us
What would
know
you
what you
do?
think.
30 days. Most powerful
30
human being
days,
in.
what would you do? I mean, I think canceling student loans, I think that is a so many, I know so many people personally, and there's like, I think it's above 1 trillion now,
Yeah.
and he could just sign it away. Sure, Trump could come back and undo it, but it's one of those things like Social Security spending that like once it's there, once you give people a benefit, it's kind of hard to take it away because nobody's gonna be happy if the first thing he does is undo the student debt cancellation. And yeah, the counter argument could be that would be inflationary to the economy. You could see monetary devaluation in the US dollar or whatnot. But I think any any downside would be offset by relieving all these millions of people of the burden. Some people pay their debt like 30 years later, they're still paying it. And the tuition at these colleges, not AMBA, of course, because AMBA is amazing, but not Boston U, but they give a good value for the money. But a lot of colleges, the pace of tuition increases has been way faster than inflation, like hundreds of percent higher than inflation. So, to kind of counterbalance that, sign away not all of the student debt, but at least a large portion of it, and it will be offset. Any inflation could be offset by freeing up these people to contribute to the economy, to take that money that they would be just paying back to the banks and the institutions and go spend it in the economy, go start a business, go flip a house, whatever. Thoughts?
Yep. So the counter argument to that is, what about all the people that paid their debt off, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, what do they do now? They're
It's
just like,
not fair. Yeah.
you're a sucker. The second thing is, uh, isn't the argument that universities are artificially inflating the first price you pay? Like the Ivies cost 80,000, right? And then you get the incentives, the whatever the tuition relief, and it comes the real price is probably 30. So that remember we talked about willingness to pay. I mean, some Harvard graduate went back to Harvard and said, "Hey, why don't we charge 80? We're going to get a segment to pay that, and then if we scale down, the real price is probably 30, and we'll discount it, right? It's like price discrimination, right? Remember we
Mm-hmm.
talked
Mm-hmm.
about that? That's what this
Yeah.
is. So I think an effective plan is to really look at that. Like, what's the real price here, and you know, why are we charging 80,000 and getting people to go get loans when we know the real price is 30? Now you're just putting them in debt and you're financing the bank industry and all of this nonsense. When if you're really in the business of education, not business, the price should be lower.
Just to push back against your first point, um, it's not fair. I paid my loan. Why should you have it forgiven? I mean, when we first gave Social Security and all that to Medicare to people above 65, you could say the same thing to the people before the 1940s. Uh, it's not fair. My grandparents, they didn't get income. They had to work until they died. So, I mean, I'm not sure. It has to be not fair at some point. And maybe it is fair because if the tuition fees are too high, it is fair to forgive some of the debt. And the other idea I had was there's a great podcast, Prof G Media. He mentions that he considers Harvard. You mentioned Harvard. They're like luxury brands. So what they've been doing is, they have uh, the same amount of people coming every year, but they keep that like Harvard could, this is his idea. Harvard could enroll 15 or 20,000 kids every year, but they keep it to like 1,500. And it keeps it like this, it keeps the supply restricted and it keeps it like this luxury brand. And that way they can pump
Mm.
the price up and up. And so his idea is, well, they're basically a big hedge fund that also kind of teaches as a school. They should expand their enrolling class. So,
I think that's
I mean,
crazy. I think if I got into Harvard, I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty smart, but man, how did I get in? Like, there's no way, man. I mean, the exclusivity of Harvard is the brand afterwards, right? It's like, why don't we give everybody $10,000 Mercedes Benz? No, man, you want to spend 90, 100,000 when you drive, people say, hey, I mean,
brand dilution. Yeah.
yeah, it is brand dilution. So, I mean,
But what about professors? I think Harvard have budget to pay higher salary for best from the best, like
absolutely.
Nobel prizes, so everyone who just achieves something, and they think, okay, they give me a great invoice. Why not? I will join Harvard and be there. And students choose the professors, as we
Absolutely.
did. I think we also review Boston, review others.
Yes.
I also reviewed Illinois something, and I think, okay, professors, who are you? You wrote a book. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
you're right. I looked at BU's like faculty and I saw Harvard, I saw Wharton, and I'm like,
mhm.
yeah, I'm going there, right? Yeah, it's interesting. But back to Social Security.
Looks
Social
like you're
Security,
looking at them right now. You're in Questrom
yeah,
right
he's
now,
right.
aren't you?
He's right up there. I'm just going to be visiting them. But Social Security, even in Canada, we passed that, I think, X amount of years ago, but it's not like getting a loan, right? Where you know the agreement, they have to pay it back, right?
Mhm.
I think there should be some $1 trillion is crazy. I think it's kind of a fraud to pay that much for education, and it's being sold that way. I think, yeah, they should look at it, but I think there's another way, just rather than just forgive everything.
Hmm.
Maybe reduce it interest free. I don't know if there's interest charges on there. Peg it to something else.
Hey, question.
I mean,
So
yeah,
why they cannot ask pay this price? You always have the choice to go to other university. Why Harvard? If you
Yeah,
really want this brand, if you really want Chanel, Dior, you pay for this. You pay for the brand, and
absolutely.
it's not a public university.
No.
So that's why
but
I don't think it should be. And okay, maybe some regulations, but that's their business. They should make the price. On the other hand, if it's like public university or college, of course, then can be questions why the price is so high, and is it really you spend so much money, and where is the rest one, etc. But why not? So if I have launch the university in future, I can play with price as I want.
the thing is, in the US, the student loans are one of the only forms of debt that doesn't go away. You cannot declare bankruptcy and have your loan forgiven.
Mm,
And I know we're talking a lot about Harvard and brands, but like most of the student debt is for normal, state universities or, not top tier universities. And you have all this debt that they start garnishing people's wages. So like, if you take a loan to start a business and the business fails and you can't pay it back, they can't come
mm,
after your paychecks for the rest of your life. But if you do the same in school, they can. Now there's also I read about there's an interesting concept. Some wealthy entrepreneurs are offering to pay kids. I think this was at Purdue, pay for their education, and they're going to get back 5 or 10% of their lifetime earnings.
mm.
So that creates an incentive alignment too, because if you're auctioning off a percentage of your earnings, you're not going to go get a degree in Taylor Swift or, did I say it, psychology. No, no offense.
Well, no.
Well, you've done well with the psych degree for
Well,
your MBA.
I was clubbing most of the time. I was not. It was not for
Okay,
that.
let's compare. We're talking about yes. Let's compare other countries. Kuwait. What about Kuwait? Do you need to take loan for your children get to university?
Kuwait is unique. It depends if you're a citizen or non-citizen. Citizens are eligible for study abroad, very generous study abroad stipends. So, and if you go to the top schools, they actually pay you a salary. That happened to me. So I went to
They pay
John
for your
Hopkins.
AMBA?
Yeah. Oh yeah, wait. No, 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 no. They didn't pay for the post grad, but But if I had continued, because I took a 15-year break, but like my brother, he got his master's degree that they did. And
Wow.
so like, yeah, so like for example, my brother went to NYU. They paid the ticket to send him there, they paid his full tuition, and they paid him $1,000 a month salary, and gave him extra for books and everything. And then when he wanted to do a master's, they paid again for that. So yeah, if you're not a citizen, you don't get those benefits. If
Maybe
you're, it, yeah,
he was a
and
great person in previous life. He had a good karma to be born in Kuwait.
yeah, luck of the draw, who you're born to in this world, unfortunately, is the difference between
The
life and death,
place, family. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's true.
So
Yeah.
are there any you should tell us where your brother does his master's. Where did he do his master's? Just say it.
Which masters? He has two
Yeah.
masters.
Okay,
Actually, he
both of
did
them.
it. We did them in Oxford. He did them both at Oxford. Yeah. So
So they pay for his Oxford master's education. So is there any
only the first
require
one. They didn't pay for the second one.
Okay, well,
So
anyway.
Oxford is in, oh my God. Okay. So he spent some time in Oxford when he traveled to New York or somewhere.
Before.
Okay, okay.
That happened to me when I went
Great.
to I went to Baltimore. I took my undergrad at Johns Hopkins and Johns Hopkins, and the same thing. They gave me a salary. It was about $2,700 a month.
Oh,
This was in 2008. Yeah, that was a lot of money.
And
Looking
what?
back, I don't think it was great because it disincentivized me from getting a job, which would have given me a lot more practical skills, and I would have, I think, made a lot more money in the next decade instead of spending it as a traveling musician. So
So
there
and
you
what?
have it.
Your first degree is it? What topic of your
English,
first degree?
English lit. Yeah, that's
Ah,
another
English
thing.
literature. Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, so
if I had
romantic.
been
You read
paying
a
for it,
lot.
I would not have studied English. I would have, stayed in my first major, which was bioengineering.
we're talking about the U.S. Student loan, which is $1 trillion. Some arguments are you made that choice to do it, so it's not fair that you get, relieved of that. Inflated pricing from schools as they start this, willingness to pay. But then Kuwait, which not only pays for everything, gives you a salary. Are there any requirements when you like? Do you have to come back and work in Kuwait? Do you have to bring your what do they say? Nothing. Wow.
Nope, nope. Um, no requirements. In fact, I stayed abroad, and that's the other thing. They're paying all this money and sending you out. A lot of people do come back. Like one of the guys in our program, he's a lawyer. He went and got his master's in law from somewhere in DC, I think George Washington University, and then he came back. And now he's a partner in his family law firm, and he's a lawyer here. So it does improve the country. The problem is with the education here, the educational institutions are weak. So you can't really get a PhD within Kuwait. You can't really get a master's degree that's worth anything from the universities here. The highest ranked universities here are like in the like 700 to 800 in the world, level, which is like below what a US typical
Mhm.
state school would even be. So like it's like community college or even worse. The best colleges here are worse than the best uh, than
Yeah,
the
I
average community
wonder.
college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder. Is it because it's like no any regulations, rules that you have to back and work here, help to develop economics and everything in Kuwait. But is it like how your family grow you and teach you some moral rules? Okay, so when you're a child, have you thought, okay, I will go abroad and then I back because you was like grown like this, so it's a
There
good
are there
thing
are some
to
rules
back.
like there are some rules like you do have to get accepted to those universities. So you have to get your language skills need to be sufficiently high to go. And it's not just the US. They'll send you to France or
Mhm.
Germany or wherever. They have a certain list of schools and they have a certain list of majors. So they don't like I wanted
Oh,
to study music. That
Mm.
wasn't on the list. Now I think it might be, but like so there are rules, you have to have a certain GPA. If you have a certain GPA above a certain, or if you get into a certain major like English at Hopkins got me into they call merit tier. So instead of a base salary of like 12 or 1500 a month, I was getting the 2700 a month. So this was like a a better grant. Not everyone gets that amount. Typical was like 1500 a month. So there are rules, it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy. you know. But you know, in the end, it did benefit the country. I came back and I taught English for 6 or 7 years
But
at
okay,
the
but
school.
why are
So,
you back? Why are you back? Why this idea to back at home, like in your head? Why don't stay somewhere abroad?
well, the salaries here are pretty good. You know, especially when you take them on a per hour basis. You know, for example, I was working less than 6 hours, a day, teaching, and only 3 of those hours would be teaching
Oh,
hours, 3 or 4 of
I
those hours,
got it.
whereas you're making full-time money. So, um, it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off, more money, less freedom. Without,
But you
without,
see, Kuwait is clever decision. Okay, you're free. We give you all opportunities. Learn, do something abroad. But they already made this environment in the country, this free medicine, free this, big salary, high quality life, and you thought, okay, it's my decision. I'll back because really there is much better than I will be somewhere abroad, US, Europe, and anyway. So it's good.
Yeah,
It's clever.
yeah. What about
Hey,
Ukraine? What's it like there?
Okay, Ukraine. I can say yes, we have the best universities. They are like public, so they not a private, and government and decide how many budget shared for education to the country. And if you're super clever, you can pass test, like it's the same test for everyone. And if you're ready, if you learn a lot, you can pass it. It's like that it can be done online because COVID and everything. So if you pass
They
and got
free?
one, yeah, it's at the end of your
Oh,
school. So if it's like we now have 12 years of education, and at the last years you can or you it depends on you, but most of children they do this test, and if you're 200 points, you can get to any university. You can apply and learn free. On the other hand, if you don't get higher marks, you still can get free, like a contract with university, and country pay for your education, but you should work 3 years after the graduation, and some countries, government, something. So if you're a teacher, you go to the public school, not a private school. If you I don't know, for instance, for doctors and everyone, they told you where you will work. This city, that's a hospital, something. 3 years, please, and it's part of your salary will be paid for this country loan. Or if you didn't get the high marks, if you don't want work to a country after the graduation, you just make a contract, pay for education, and be free after that. Do what you want to do. We have a few, I don't can say many, but with good education background and good reputation. But still, it's not Harvard, definitely. It's
it's all
Kiev
in
National
Ukrainian, right?
University. Yeah,
It's all in
yeah.
Ukraine. Yeah. It
Mhm.
that blows my mind. Some of the other Western European countries like Germany, Sweden, even some in France, the Nordic, the Scandinavian countries, they offer a lot of bachelor's and master's degrees for free in English
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Even for
German, yeah.
foreigners. So you can come
Germany,
study.
Spain,
Yeah.
yeah, in English. I think we have some universities that's
I mean, what do you call
split.
that? Like arbitrage, right? It's like university arbitrage. Like if I'm a poor
Mhm.
kid in America or Canada and I don't want to pay and get all these debts, I don't even
Oh,
have to learn German. I can just go to Germany, take a 2-year degree, and come back with a master's,
you could, and
Top
in
tier too
yeah,
there.
I can say in Ukraine, very popular that students from China, from India, from I don't think other countries, because it's cheaper to get get a medical education. It's cheaper than some there, but the all knowledge professors, it's like on the high level. Maybe equipment is, but the
So
basic,
come and get an
Oh,
MD and
from
they go back.
Iran, even from Iran. And I know my friend just dating with one from Iran student, and he was a future dentist. And his parents, a very rich person in Iran, and they sent him to Ukraine, get this medical education to become a dentist, back to Iran, and get a lot of money. Yeah, but a lot of people trying to get more money and maybe bachelor in Ukraine, but master degree found some there, like Poland, Germany. Depends on who you are, what you want to do. IT, for instance, you can stay and get a good salary in Ukraine, or you can go somewhere, Microsoft, Google, somewhere, because background so good. So my teammates from my first degree, computer science degree, I know they work Google, YouTube, Apple, everywhere spread the world, because they did this job very well. So they can be invited. And that's why 10 years later, I can get some money to pay for my education in Boston University on OMBA. It wasn't a loan. It wasn't a pay by my company or employer. It was just buy the money, thinking, buy a car or maybe education. Education.
So what I think about it is we've got a lot of overeducated people, underutilized workforce. Like we're the plumbers, the electricians. We pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now, a couple of years ago, your BA was worth something. Now everybody's got a BA and you got to get your master's now. But then a master's silos you in like academia or something completely useless. And then PhDs. I mean, I've talked to PhDs that regret getting their PhD because then they're like, okay, I have no job and I have to hustle for a position. And like, here's a guy, I got my BA in clubbing mostly, and now, I'm running my own company and I'm good, right? So, what's your social utility if everybody has like a master's and a BA in psychology, chemistry? Like, I mean, I don't know. I think we're just, and that's why people jump into huge student debts. They've been sold on this, get this path, and then you'll have a prosperous life. But now that path is probably not as lucrative. So that's my thoughts after I got my master's. So there you go.
Educational dilution. I mean, I think also like there's not a strong apprenticeship idea. I think in Europe it's more like you can apprentice at a trade school and it's like a badge of honor, but whereas in America or the Western hemisphere, it's not as sorry, hemisphere. It's not as prestigious to be, like you're saying, it's not the same pride. And then like what you're saying also, it doesn't always translate. Like, so many, people didn't finish famously, Bill Gates, Anthony Robbins, all kind of masters of the universe didn't complete college even because they saw it was not really going to help them with what they were trying to do or was getting in the way. I think the system needs to be reevaluated. I think the training we all went through was very modern in the Boston U MBA program. It was like tailor suited to today's challenges and AI and the cutting edge. And
Yeah.
most people aren't getting that. Most programs are like stuck in the 19th century, probably. Who was it? Someone told me you can get a degree in Taylor Swift. Did you tell me that?
No, no, no. You can get it. You can get folklore mythology from Harvard.
Right? Yeah.
Harvard's given
Yeah.
that degree away, so
Even
there's
my
your in.
English degree, I was halfway through my English degree. I wanted to quit. I was like thinking this because I hadn't had any jobs in the real world yet. And I was like, this degree is kind of seems like BS, is it? Like, I know it's like I'm getting paid a lot of money to come study this. Like, is it really that valuable? We're like close reading passages of like ancient literature, and it just seems useless to society. And once I got in the job market, I figured out, yeah, it is pretty useless and nobody
Oh my
cares.
God.
Everyone else speaks
Wow.
English and they don't give a damn. It's
No, but you can be an editor and be editor of some
yeah.
bestsellers.
Most people use a humanities or liberal arts degree today as a launching pad to go on to a law degree or a business, like I did a
Mhm.
business degree or a PhD or something, a master's in some other field. It's a good background, uh, but you have like if like I think my tuition was like $150,000. Like I wasn't gonna take 150 grand loan back then, even without the business education I had now. If it hadn't been paid for, there's no way I was studying that. No way. No way.
Mm.
It's not practical. And so like people that are taking six-figure loans to study, like, okay, one of the first jobs I got in real estate when I shifted toward real estate, I went after I flipped my first house, I went and took a summer job at a real estate firm in Seattle. And I was basically a assistant making $20 or something an hour, right? I was living in my van by choice, by choice. I could have rented an apartment by choice. I wanted to do it. And the girl sitting next to me had basically the same role, and she had been there a few years, and she had a kid, and she had a PhD in history from the University of Washington, which is now like a top 20 school in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And she's making the same salary as me, and she's like running errands for the real estate agents. So it's like,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
how useful are some of these? But like geo arbitrage, I told her about that. She wouldn't listen to me, but if she took that same degree and came to Kuwait or Dubai or this area, yeah, there's some trade-off, but she'll be making at least 70 to $100,000 a year first to start. Like she'll be making real money and doing research. But not everyone knows about these opportunities, and not everyone would be willing to travel halfway around the
Yeah,
world to
yeah,
have a better life.
especially if they have already family, something.
Exactly.
Okay, we didn't heard about Canada. What
Oh,
about education
uh,
there?
we got top 30, like we've got like three really good schools. The Ivy League of the North, McGill, U of T is very good, and then BC. But a lot of people here, they'll get into those schools. Some of them will apply for into the Ivies in the United States. I think the gold standard is still, I mean, they're good, but the gold standard is the US.
Mm.
Um, and Canada is a great farm system for talent. We just grow them here and export them out. That's kind of what happens in Canada. I don't know if you've
Sport
read the
them, eh?
news. Yeah, you read the news. Our government's in chaos. Our pretty boy, fading glamour girl, Justin Trudeau, is nearly out of office, and it's
The
like,
favorite prime minister.
yeah, it's Canada's. I see Canada's a colony. Donald Trump wants to make it the 51st state, which is a
Oh,
which is a
no.
and they're in a panic. He said that, and everybody's like, like there's bombs in the Ukraine coming on their head. They're freaking out. Oh my God, Donald Trump. And I'm like, what? Just settle down. Just
It's
like
a joke.
just
It's a
relax.
joke.
But I did hear that they're in New York. There was a recently somebody in legislature who was trying to join Canada. So if I were, prime minister, I would ask Donald Trump. I mean, I think it's fab. Let's get New York part of Canada, and we'll give you like I don't know, Manitoba.
Is,
Like,
is education subsidized there at all? Or like, are there any incentives? Is there like a huge student debt? I feel like there is in America.
no, I mean, not a huge student debt, and it is subsidized, so we don't have like I think my mom worked at the university, so I paid nothing. Um, but I think overall, each province will not they would subsidize it, but I think it's the real cost. It's not this
Yeah.
$80,000 a year, not at all, and so
You're
it is
paying closer.
accessible.
You're paying closer to cost. You're not paying
Oh
all this
yeah,
extra premium on top of the cost.
no,
Like, you know what I
foreign
mean?
students coming in have to pay that, but
Right.
if you're from the province, no, you don't have to pay it.
See. It's kind of how the University of California is in America. It's like one of the best university systems in the world. UC Berkeley, UCLA, and
Mm-hmm.
if you're a
Stanford.
resident of California, it's like much cheaper and it's easier to get in. But if you're coming in from outside, it's crazy. Like it's an Ivy League uh,
Yeah.
fee. Yeah, yeah.
And I can say in Ukraine, it's very popular to get master degree, even bachelor degree in Canada.
Oh, there you go.
Very popular because
Yeah.
it's
Similar
cheaper
climate.
than in US, and it's like they have some programs. They prepare you, pass some English exams. You have how to do it, and maybe some loans and etc. But it's very popular. Yeah, I
I
know
mean,
some
yeah.
personally know my friends and their kids like really enroll into some Canada university.
Yeah, the academic standards here are pretty high.
Mhm.
Throughout, high school and otherwise. I mean, we've got really high standards. So the universities are great. They're well funded, research based. So they are feeders into the US too for the Ivy Leagues. A lot of people do their, bachelor's here and then jump to the US right away. So it's a good country for them.
And famously, the education system there produced Jordan Peterson, eh?
Hey, there you go. But he
U of
just moved.
Toronto.
He just moved. He said, I can't stay in
Exactly.
Canada. I'm out of
They fed
Canada.
him, he's feeder, part of the feeder system.
Yeah, the farm system sent him out. He's gone. Yeah, pretty funny. Not that funny though.
So Canadian education system is like the minor leagues for the
It is.
MLBs.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. Oh my God, no.
Okay, I have some question. It's related to education, but also related about expectation. For instance, for young adult who just graduating from the school, is it okay not to go to the university from the next year? Example, in Ukraine, it's like if you didn't get in any university, college or something, it's like, oh, it's a shame. It's a shame. How is your child is not wow, oh, I don't know, bad. So and parents and people, children, okay, anything. Okay, I want here. I didn't get there, but maybe here because what his neighbors will say, what this other will say, what my granny say if I didn't get to the university. So it's like, but on as I know, in Switzerland, I spent first month because the war started, big invasion, and I started my OMBA program was in Switzerland, in family, and it's okay for them not to get to the university. They don't get any bachelor degree, master degree, but they get this work what they want. They can start some handmade something, carpenter, and it's okay. It's not a shame to be a carpenter. No, you don't have bachelor degree, you don't have any degree, but you're a carpenter and you get a salary and you're respectful. In Ukraine, you didn't get any education. So what people can do, they can pay for the diploma just to get it and say, dear relatives, I have diploma. They hate the topic, they hate everything. You know that they pay for this diploma, but we had it. We show it to family. It's like, I'm all right. I'm normal. I have something. So I
Issue
don't
with
know
that
why.
here in Kuwait, with they have diploma mills. Some people will get fake degrees just to get employment, to get the benefits. But to Elena's point, Isvar, is there a stigma in Canada around not getting a degree, and what are the job opportunities if you don't pursue higher education there? Are you
I'm gonna
limited?
start. I'm gonna start the answer with this parable. There's two guys in the forest, and one of them
This
is
could
putting
be
on run.
good.
One of the guys putting on running shoes, and there's a bear, right? And he's saying like, okay, why are you putting on running shoes? His friend said, you can't outrun the bear. And he turns to his friend and says, I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you.
It's
So,
true.
so the answer is it's comparative. Like if in the job force, if you don't have a degree, you're being compared to somebody who does. And that's why you need a degree. There's a new standard. It's like the new high school diploma. You know, my dad's educated, my mom too, but generations of people were just on the farm. They didn't need a degree. They needed high school, right? No longer. You need a minimum to get a degree because you're being compared to other people. You have to outrun your competition, just like that bear. So yeah, you need to get it. Here's a guy that had a business. I already have a business functioning and I still got a master's, right? Like, why? Why'd you bother? Because you're being compared, even in boardrooms when I go in and I know there's somebody who's, got an MBA and I went in without one and they're spinning some
Mm,
kind of, bullshit jargon
not
that we learn.
enough. You're not
Yeah.
enough.
Oh, the willingness, and they're going blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, damn. So now I got MBA and I'm like, okay, it's just comparative stuff, right? So, yeah, yeah. I think it is important, but you got to use it for what serves you, not really, you know, at the basic thing. I think you do need some university degree. You have to compete. After that, yeah, you can do something else.
What about social opinion? What your neighbor will say if you don't have it?
There's a stigma.
You're dumb. You're a dumbass. Like, what's he doing? He's just wasting his life. That's what they're
Yeah.
gonna say.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And Kuwait, is it also you will be ashamed if you don't have it? Even if you have, like, for instance, you have a family business, you don't need like education because you will have a job. Like an
No,
example, you
there's no
still
stigma here. The issue here is more of comparisons. So, like, if I have a, let's say, master's degree from Harvard,
mm,
the government treats me equally as if it's a master's degree from the worst university in some third world country. And those are looked at equivalently. And so
oh,
that's not a great way. Yeah, there's nothing on merit here. They only look at the paper. For example,
a
I
master's and
haven't I
master's.
haven't got my equivalency in MBA yet. It's in the process, right? But uh I can't, I'm locked out of certain fields. Like in America, I could go try to get a job teaching at a college or something because I have master's in business. Here, no, I gotta wait for that equivalency paper. And so somebody from, the lowest level university in, let's say, wherever, uh, somewhere out of there's good universities all over, but there's some pretty bad ones, and a lot of their graduates come here and get the same pay as I would from a
Hmm.
top tier university in the West or something. And so it's, because it's the language issue. You have a lot of people that can't meet the English language requirement to study abroad, but they need to still be paid a high salary here, and so you just have it's
Hmm.
inefficient. It's inefficient. If we didn't have oil here, none of these perks would be happening. And as soon as the oil runs out, you'll see the economy collapse. It has to do something like the UAE eventually, where it has to diversify into tourism and other
Hmm.
industries.
But anyway, on the other hand, it's not enough to have oil. It's you should know how to make it as a business, how to use it. Not just okay, have a lot of oil and what?
That's pretty much all that Kuwait does is export oil. That most of the GDP is just oil exports, almost nothing else. The service sector is not anywhere comparable to like Western economies. It's just the reasons that I've stated. There's not a motivation, there's not an incentive for higher skilled workers to come in, or even for foreign capital to come in, because there's a lot of red tape to do business here and so on and so forth. Cultural issues.